guys in sports media joining the show now. Chris Broussard of First Things First, which is right after this show. He's also on Fox Sports Radio, The Odd Couple with Rob Parker. Chris, I see a Celtics green tie. Very out of character for you. What's going on with that? I thought you were a Knicks fan. Come on.
Well, I'm not a Knicks fan, but I'm thinking of this as more as Timberwolves green. Is that accurate? Timberwolves got a lot of colors. But
out of your mind.
I think it's more T-Wolves green.
Man,
yeah,
listen, I miss you from being out here in L.A. We used to do your podcast. I would dominate you in debates. It was fun. So let's start with much of a debate. So Klay Thompson picks the Mavs over the Lakers. Is this a shot against LeBron? Oh, nobody wants to play with LeBron. Or is this like the Lakers brand is a little damaged? They couldn't get Danny Hurley. Couldn't get Klay Thompson. Couldn't get any superstar. Right. I mean, Max Christie is the Lakers' big signing so far this offseason to date.
Yeah, look, I don't think he was so much turning down the Lakers as he was choosing the Mavericks. The Lakers, all this talk about them offering him a 4-year, $80 million deal, they couldn't offer him that. I mean, yeah, they could do a sign and trade and get him that. And that's what they tried to do by getting, D'Lo, getting him traded to the Warriors. But the Warriors have been there and done that. So once you take that's not happening and D'Lo's not getting traded, how were they going to even clear that cap space to get him? They were going to try, and Klay was smartly like, I'm not waiting around for weeks or who knows, even longer for you guys to get a deal done. I'll go ahead and sign with Dallas. As far as you say, not wanting to play with LeBron, I don't think that's a factor. I mean, because a lot of players around the league will tell you that guys haven't always wanted to play with Luka. So that same knock on, LeBron's been ball dominant and everything revolves around him. That also is the case with Luka Doncic. So I don't think that was part of it at all. And I think Klay, I know, just being a competitor, that he's going to want to stick it to the Warriors, right? Mm-hmm. What better way to stick it to them than going there and getting your 5th ring when Steph and Draymond still only have 4? And I think he's got a better chance of doing that with the Mavericks than the Lakers. I'm sure everybody feels that way.
Yeah, now, one more on the Lakers. So they won 47 games last year. LeBron and AD were healthy. They went to the conference finals 2 years ago. But, Chris, I looked at the roster this morning. I didn't even realize it. They only have 2 guys over 30 years old. This is a youth movement. Now, Pelinka said that, and they're investing in Max Christie. They got Bronny. They got J.J. Redick to relate to the young guys. But LeBron, he can't be thrilled with this group, can he?
No, he can't be thrilled. I mean, it is what it is. They're essentially bringing back the same team as last year. Their improvements will have to come from, one, whatever new strategies J.J. Redick has, okay? He's already talked about wanting LeBron to shoot more threes. What type of offense does he run? Can he unlock some things that this roster wasn't able to unlock in the past? That's one thing. And then the guys that weren't healthy, Jarrett Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, how much can they contribute? If they're healthy, those are guys, Spencer Dinwiddie even. None of them played 30 games last year. So they're pretty good players. All you need are role players because you got your big 2 in LeBron and AD. So if those guys can stay healthy and then be productive, more productive than they were last year in the playoffs, that's where your improvement could come from. I don't think they're a top-tier contender in the Western Conference, but if those guys do improve and LeBron and AD stay healthy, they, could be a legitimate playoff team, meaning they get in that 6-ish area. Yeah. But more likely, they're probably going to be in the play-in, maybe 7 or 8 in the play-in.
Well, you say that, but the Suns haven't gotten any better. The Paperclips have gotten worse. The Warriors lose Chris Paul and Klay Thompson. They're not going to be better. I don't know. There's a world where, like you said, J.J. Redick is worth, I don't know, let's say 4 or 5 wins that Darvin Ham botched with his rotations and late game stuff. And now you're like, oh, my gosh, the Lakers stumbled into 49 or 50 wins, Chris. So maybe they are a top 6 team in the West.
It's 6-ish. They could be. I think New Orleans is going to be better. Yeah. Obviously, you got Denver. Well, Denver's a little worse. I mean, they've lost some players, but they're still going to be better than the Lakers. All right, so you got Denver, Minnesota, OKC, Dallas, and then, like I said, I expect the New Orleans to be better. And then you have that group of Golden State. Now, we know they're trying to get Lowry marketing. I don't know that they can.
No.
But if they do, I love them. I'm not saying top-tier contender, but if they get Lowry marketing, he would be a perfect fit. That would be nice, and they would be something to deal with in the Western Conference.
Well, how are they getting him?
Absolutely.
How are they getting him? Kuminga and
Well, that's the challenge. I mean, that would be the challenge. But if they can, he would be a great fit for them. And they need to go all in as long as Steph is there, in my view.
Okay, let's go to the best player in the league, Luka Doncic, the Slovenian stallion. He gets Klay Thompson to go with Kyrie Irving in his backcourt. Listen, man, Stan Van Gundy was calling this the best backcourt in NBA history a month ago. I know that was a little bit much, but you add Klay in place of Derrick Jones. I mean, what are we looking at here? How do you defend this team? Klay's going to sit in the corner and just spot up, and you got to hug him up. You didn't have to do that with Derrick Jones or P.J. Washington. Like, this is a big upgrade. I've got the Mavs tops in the West. Do you?
They're going to be right up there. I mentioned the top 4 teams, and I think OKC has had a phenomenal offseason. Josh Giddey didn't get much in the playoffs. I kind of like Giddey, but I like Caruso better. They don't need a big scorer in that kind of 4th slot. They've got their big 3. We know it's SGA, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. And now you've got a great defender in Caruso, adding him to an already great defensive team. And Isaiah Hartenstein, like, they needed size. They needed a little rebounding. He doesn't have to go there and get 15 points a night. So that's a good addition. Their only question is youth. And I still think they're 1 year away from really being able to win the West and potentially win the whole thing. Dallas, I love what they've done. I mean, Klay is a perfect fit there. He's a guy that obviously, like, when you have Kyrie and Luka, you need a guy that can play off, 2 ball-dominant guards, a guy that can score big time without dominating the ball or having it in his hands a lot. And obviously that's Klay Thompson. Look, Klay averaged 18 points on 39% shooting from 3 last year. Yeah. Those are really good numbers. All right, so I'm with you on the Mavericks as far as them being right there near the top. I think Luka, what he went through in the finals, he didn't play badly, but he was good, but he wasn't awesome like he usually is. That's what he needed. I think he needed to see that, have that moment, and now look in the mirror and say, okay, if I want to get to the next level and be a champion, I've got to be better on defense, just more engaged. And I think Klay can help him there too, because we know Luka's never going to be a shutdown defender, but Klay can talk to him about a guy like Steph. Look, Steph was never a shutdown defender, Luka, but he was smart. He was always in the right spot. He gave full effort defensively, and he talked. That's all we need you to do. So I think he can help Luka in that regard. And then I expect Luka to lay off the refs a little bit too, so he'll be better. The key, I think a big key for the Mavericks is, can Kyrie be as good this upcoming season as he was this last year? There's really no reason to think he can't unless Father Time just smacks him on the shoulder. But I think Kyrie will be big. If Kyrie can play like he did last year, then they should definitely have a great chance of getting back to the finals. Yeah,
let's remember, their offense is what killed them against Boston. I think they were under 100 like 4 times. They couldn't score. Now you add Klay. That's huge. All right, let's go to the East, where my Knicks, I have narrowly behind Boston, but the Sixers are trying to close the gap with this Paul George signing. Chris, I like Paul George's game a lot. I don't know, man. We've seen a bunch of big threes where somebody has to take a step back so the team can move forward. We saw Chris Bosh, Kevin Love. I mean, somebody somewhere has to take a step back in this big 3. Is Paul George going to be that guy? Because we know Maxey and Embiid are homegrown talents in Philly.
Well, I think this big 3, unlike some other ones, they all fit. You got the big man in Embiid, you got the point guard in Maxey, and you got the swing man in Paul George. So I think they'll be, and Maxey, Maxey is not a ball-dominant guy where, like you mentioned big 3s with LeBron. LeBron, especially in his prime at that time, was ball-dominant. So that third guy definitely does kind of become a glorified role player. That's not necessarily the case in all big 3s. It's just, do the big 3s fit? And these big 3s, this big 3 in Philly, really fits together nicely. My main concern with them is not, oh, it's a big 3, can it work? It's, will they be healthy? And with me, Philadelphia, particularly with Joel Embiid and even Paul George, they are now firmly in the I'll believe it when I see it mode for me. That's how I feel about it. Like, I love Joel Embiid. I do wish he'd play a little more down low. He's got a great one of the best mid